Listen, it's time for kayak anglers to take a stand. That was so stupid. Hey, this is Will Scored Florida Bass Collar. Welcome to the man cave. I got boats everywhere. I have an 11-foot 9-inch canoe. I have a 12-foot kayak. I have a 13-foot 2-inch kayak. I have a 14-foot 6-inch canoe. How do I store all these? I store them in a garage on stands, and that's what today's episode is going to be about. I'm going to review some of the stands I've used over the years to properly store my kayaks. Now, some better than others, and we're going to cover a variety of price points. One thing I want to say is there's no one kayak for everyone, but for everyone there is a kayak available, and it all depends on your budget. Now, regardless of what your budget is, it's your investment, and you want to make sure you're storing your kayak or canoe properly. Now, there's a lot of variables to take into consideration when storing your kayak. Is it going to be kept inside? Is it going to be kept outside? How long is it? How wide is it? How much does it weigh? Etc. All this information has to be taken into account when trying to find the best stand that works for you, the angler. So let's take a look at some of those now. Let's start with the basics. The good old sawhorse. A lot of people store their kayaks on these. And there's good ways to do it and there's bad ways to do it. First and foremost, these particular ones, these are aluminum sawhorses. They're folding sawhorses. And I know you're saying they all fold, but these fold flat. Here's the other side. These cost about $25. They're made by Husky. They're available at Home Depot. Now, I put some adhesive padding on the tops of these to protect my kayak, but I did not store my kayak on these right side up. They're flat. There's no give to these whatsoever, especially these bad boys here. Now, yes, you can put pool noodle on top and you can put your foam blocks on top, but over time, those are going to compress and no longer be supportive of your kayak. They're going to get flat, just like the top of this, and you're going to look at hull damage. These are great for temporary use. If you're going to bring your kayak outside and want to wash it, yes, you can put your kayak on top of this, clean her, wash her, and put her back on her regular stand without worrying about any damage. But long term, you will warp your hull on this flat surface, so I wouldn't recommend it. Now, if you have a canoe or a kayak with flat gunnels on the top, you can sit them upside down, and that's probably one of the most recommended ways to store a kayak in particular. Upside down on its gunnels. My Predator PDL, which is right here next to me, has flat gunnels on the top, so initially when I started with these, I had it upside down on there. Now, yes, it doesn't look cool when you walk into the garage. You can't see your sexy kayak because it's upside down, but that's probably the safest way to store a kayak to ensure you don't have any warping of the hull. Again, there's different varieties of sawhorses. These aluminum ones by Husky can hold up to 1,500 pounds. I mean, they cost $25 each, 50 bucks for the pair. 750 pounds per horse pair, 1,500, do the math. That's a lot of weight. I mean, I don't think there's any kayaks over 1,500 pounds out there. But again, this is probably one of the most economic ways to store your kayak if you could store it upside down on the gunnels. Again, a pair of sawhorses. Watch, there's a lot of plastic ones out there. What you want to keep in mind is the plastic ones, if they're not fully extended, you know, they will buckle on you. You have to be careful with that. You also want to look at your weight capacities, which is why I went with these. Again, my kayak is not heavy. It's not 1,500 pounds, obviously, but the higher weight capacity just talks about the durability of the horses. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. This is the first step. But what if you want to do something a little more extravagant, something a little cooler than sawhorses? Let's check out this next pair of stands. So the second set of stands I want to talk about are these universal kayak stands from Suspenz. I'll put their information below. This is the larger of the two sizes. This particular model comes in a 15-inch tall model or a 25-inch tall model. 15-inch weighs 3 pounds. These weigh 4 pounds. And they have a capacity of 150 pounds. Now, as you can see, they're really lightweight, portable. They could fold up nice and easy. Come with the mesh bag, sold in pairs. I believe they're $79.95 for the smaller ones, $99.95 for the larger ones. These are great for keeping in your garage. You can bring them out to your yard when you want to wash down your kayak, you know, and then bring it back in. As far as heavier boats, such as like your Big Water series or your Native Titans or your Hobie Pro Anglers, these would not be good for those. Again, these only have a weight capacity of 150 pounds per pair. I find these to be better for my canoes, to be very honest with you. I keep my Saranac 146 on these. I can also keep my Discovery 119 Solo Sportsman, which I'll put on here in a minute. They have these rubber guards here to help protect against scratching your hull. Again, these are really lightweight. Long-term storage on larger boats, again, I'm not sure if these would be the best ones to use. However, they do make models that are. We'll go over that in a minute. But again, super lightweight. I'm going to go ahead and put the Discovery on there. What you want to do is line it up, see where you want it with the boat, where it sits the best. And she's on there. Alright, this was one of my favorites when I got it. This is the Super Duty Big Catch from Suspenz. Weighs 9 pounds each stand. The pair of stands can hold up to 350 pounds. Just like the smaller one, super easy to fold, super portable. Again, because of its width, it can hold much larger kayaks. Not all models, and I'll go over that in a second. But if you're looking at long-term storage, I think this is a better option than the smaller one, which we just reviewed, which are these guys right here. However, as far as some of the larger size kayaks, and this comes off their website, and I really think it's great that they bring this up, that these will not hold the Native Titan 10.5 and 12, Old Town Autopilot 12 and 13.5, the Hobie PA 12 and 14, or the Jackson Big Rig, because they do not taper enough at the bow and stern. Again, there's a lot of different models out there of kayaks, which is why there's so many different stands. And you have to realize that they come in different price points. A pair of the Super Catch heavy duty stands goes for about $259.99. Again, I will put information to this on our website. I've had my Predator in this, in these stands. Because of its width, they were a little further apart than what I would have liked, but overall, I was comfortable keeping my Predator in them. I really like how it cradles the kayak. The material's nice and smooth, it's soft, it's not going to go ahead and mar your kayak. So again, let me show you what it looks like. Right now I have them set up on my Salty 120 PDL just to give you an idea what they look like. So here it is here in the front of my Salty. I have one in the rear. Again, you just lift up your kayak, kind of slide it to where you want it. Again, it just really gives it a nice cradle in the front. The Salty's a bit wide in the rear. I'll bring you over there now. Again, as you see, it's still holding the kayak. Again, the kayak is very, very wide in the stern, but still gives it nice support. I like these better for my Predator, but I wanted to put this boat on there to show you what it looks like in it. Again, super durable, super lightweight, but super strong. I really like the way these are built. These are fantastic stands. A wider variety of stands, but again, what if you're somebody who has the bigger kayaks? Well, then there's this one. look at this bad boy. The Boonedox Rigging Stand Pro. Now it comes in two models. You have your standard rigging stand, which is $349.95. Comes with small caster wheels, I believe they're called. Now that would be great for if you're on a showroom floor or just gonna have this in the garage. And then you have your Rigging Stand Pro for $449.95, which has the C-tug wheels. These are better for someone like me who's wheeling the kayak from the garage out into the driveway and into the back of my truck. You know, I got to go down that little hump from the garage to the driveway, and I want to make sure I have wheels that are more suited for that. So I went with the Pro. Now I checked on their website. I do not see what the weight limit is on this bad boy, but it is sturdy. I'll go over some information I got from them when I was asking some questions about it, but let's take a better look at this kayak stand because this thing is badass. So what does this kayak stand give you that many don't? It gives you versatility, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. As you've seen, kayak carts over the years have evolved, and they now can be adjustable based on the different types of hulls out there and all the different varieties of kayaks. Well, the Boonedox Rigging Stand and the Rigging Stand Pro is no exception to that. Simply loosening these screws with an Allen wrench on both sides, of course, you can adjust how close or how far apart the bars are so they're spaced properly underneath the hull of your kayak. Now again, right now this is holding my Predator PDL. We'll try to get a closer look in here. And again, they're hugging the hull, right where the hull starts to kind of curve a little bit. So this way I know I'm not underneath one side where I'm going to dent the gentle curvature of it. And it's just spaced beautifully. And again, it all depends on what type of kayak you have. You can set it up, you know, move them a little bit, then lock them down, and you're all set. All right, so here's a look at the top of the stand. Each stand comes with a pair of these heavy-duty pads. They have an adhesive bottom and they go on to the top of the rails. This is just another way to help protect the bottom of your kayak. Again, once you get the bars lined up where you want it, you go ahead and just peel the backing off, you press them on there. Now the rack itself is very smooth, but again, I think the addition of the pads just gives it that little bit of extra protection, which I really like. Now, I will make one recommendation. If you're someone who fishes a lot of salt water and the bottom of your kayak is chewed up from oyster beds and things of that nature, I would try to refrain from sliding your kayak back and forth on these pads because again, I'm not sure if the jagged edges of the chipped up plastic will cause damage to these. And unfortunately, you cannot, at the time that I did this video, I asked you cannot buy replacement pads. So that's just something I personally think you should keep in mind. You know, again, my Predator's seen a lot of oyster beds and she's got some jagged edges on the bottom of her from getting scratched up. And again, I wouldn't want to be scratching against these pads and tear them up because again, they give me peace of mind knowing that my kayak is going to be protected on the bottom by these great pads and this unbelievable kayak stand. In closing, again, I want to touch on something I talked about earlier. Choosing the right kayak stand for your kayak is important. How long is your kayak? How wide is your kayak? How heavy is your kayak? How sturdy is the hull material of your kayak? Because let's face it, some kayaks are sturdier than others. And that's not meant as a jab. There's kayaks out there for a variety of budgets. However, regardless of what your budget is, it's your investment and you want to protect it. So the best advice I can give you is ask questions. I've reached out to the team over at Suspenz. I've talked to the team at Boonedox. I've asked questions. As I mentioned earlier, talking about the heavy-duty kayak slings from Suspenz, they even mentioned on their website what kayaks that they would not recommend being stored on their stands. That transparent information helps you, the consumer, make the best decision. Now, maybe you're one of these handy-dandy folks that can make your own kayak stand out of PVC and some long screws and some bungee. Go for it. If you have that ability, I'm jealous. I don't, so I have to store buy my kayak stands. And again, I've bought a wide variety, and they've all done their job. Again, ask the questions, protect your investment, and know that your kayak is going to be safe regardless of where you're storing it. I'm Bill Scortifort, the Bass Paddler. I hope you enjoyed this quick video on the different varieties of stands I have for my kayaks. If you like what you see, please show me some love and support by hitting the subscribe button and hit the bell for future notifications. Thanks for watching. Tight lines, be safe. I'll see you on the water.